Must watch. Women never forget a man who does these 9 things. Old Stoic wisdom. To love and be loved is to feel the sun from both sides. David Weiscott. Have you ever noticed that some men seem to linger in a woman's mind long after a relationship ends? It's not because of flashy gifts, expensive gestures, or endless romantic words. No, the men who leave a lasting impression do something far more profound. They evoke emotions that stay with her, even if time and distance stand between them. In today's video, we're diving deep into why women never forget a man who embodies 7 key traits. And it's not what you might think. Welcome back to the channel, where we dig beneath the surface and uncover the real dynamics of attraction, relationships, and human connection. Today's discussion isn't for the faint of heart. The truth I'm about to share might challenge a lot of the conventional advice you've been given. If you're expecting the typical nice guy blueprint, this video isn't for you. But if you're eager to learn how to become the kind of man a woman will never forget, then stick with me. Here's a reality that many men overlook. Trying to win a woman's affection through constant validation, attention, or giving up your own principles won't make you memorable. In fact, women easily forget those men. Why? Because deep down, they don't want a man who simply praises them at every turn. What they truly crave are men who challenge them emotionally, intellectually, and even spiritually. The men who make a permanent mark don't follow the conventional path. They operate from a different mindset, one that often goes against what most people believe to be the right way to attract a woman. In this video, I'm going to reveal the 7 traits that will make you unforgettable in her eyes, long after you've parted ways, whether she openly acknowledges it or not. 1. He never chases her. There's a timeless truth that all men should grasp. Never chase a woman. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book. Society's lie that if you pursue her hard enough, she'll eventually fall for you. But let me be clear. Chasing doesn't make you more attractive. It makes you predictable, desperate, and replaceable in her eyes. Women don't want a man who treats them like the ultimate prize. They want a man who values himself first, a man who has his own life, goals, and purpose. Iron Mind is not about submitting yourself to someone else's whims. It's about being strong enough to stand alone without losing your confidence or sense of worth. When you chase, you're giving up your power. You place her on a pedestal, and in doing so, you signal that she is the prize and you're the one begging to be chosen. This dynamic shifts everything. Suddenly, she holds the power, and you're just another face in the crowd, trying to gain her attention. And when you become just another option, it's easy for her to forget about you. But here's the truth from the perspective of old Stoic wisdom. Don't chase. You must know that your value is not contingent upon her attention. A man who doesn't chase isn't cold or disinterested. He's simply someone who allows attraction to unfold naturally because he knows that real power comes from within. The moment you stop chasing, you become an enigma. You let mystery and scarcity work their magic. Stoic principles teach us that when you stop trying to control every interaction and let things happen naturally, you invite intrigue. Women are drawn to men who exude confidence and self-sufficiency. The more a woman feels like she has to work for your attention, the more she'll want it. This isn't manipulation. It's understanding human nature. Let me give you an example. Imagine you meet a woman at a party. You have an amazing conversation. There's chemistry. But instead of drowning her in texts or pushing for a date, you give her space. You don't fall into the trap of constant communication. Instead, you let her come to you. You stay focused on your own life and goals, on your mission. Over time, she'll start to reach out more, trying to draw your attention, because she senses your iron mind, your inner strength. She'll feel the pull of your confidence and independence. And that, my friend, is when you've cracked the code. That's when you realize the beauty of old Stoic wisdom in action. Remember this. Don't chase. Let her come to you. Women remember the men who didn't make them feel hunted. They remember the men who made them work for their attention, the ones who weren't so easily won. When you stop chasing and start valuing your own worth, you don't just become more attractive, you become unforgettable. And that's the mark of a man who embodies the true Stoic principles: steady, independent, and in control of his own destiny. 2. He walks away without fear. Most men lose their strength in relationships because they are afraid to walk away. They believe that holding on tightly, never letting go, is the key to keeping her by their side. They're wrong. The fear of loss doesn't make a man more attractive. It makes him weak. Women can sense that fear in an instant. It's a vulnerability that many women can exploit, intentionally or unintentionally. But let's delve into the truth. The ability to walk away at any moment is one of the most powerful and attractive qualities a man can have. Think about that. The Stoics taught us that emotional independence and strength are key to navigating life with dignity. A man who knows his worth, who is not emotionally dependent on another person's presence, holds the ultimate power in any relationship. He doesn't need to beg, plead, or negotiate for attention or affection. His emotional state is not contingent on her behavior. That, my friend, is a rare and invaluable trait. This is not about being cold, rude, or disrespectful. This is about knowing your value. It's about understanding that your life, happiness, and emotional well-being should never be tied to anyone else's actions. When you walk away, you're sending a powerful message: I choose to be here, but I don't need to be here. That's Stoic wisdom at its finest. It's the kind of clarity that comes from the core of a man who understands his value and refuses to be part of any situation that disrespects his standards. When a man walks away, he doesn't do so out of spite or anger. He does so because he refuses to stay in a place that no longer aligns with his values or emotional health. If she starts playing games, disrespecting him, or creating drama, he has the strength to step back, without negotiating, without pleading. This is a Stoic rule to live by. Never let emotional games sway you from your inner peace. Remember, women respect men who don't cling. They respect men who are not afraid to lose them. Why? Because it shows true confidence. It shows emotional strength. It shows that you are whole on your own and don't need another person to complete you. There's an old Stoic principle that states, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. When a man is not afraid to walk away, he frees himself from that fear. He doesn't get stuck in the imagined loss, but instead, he walks in the reality of himself, worth. A man who can walk away sends a loud message. I'm not afraid of being alone. And let's be clear, this is not about playing games. This is about being a man who knows his worth and stands firm in that knowledge. It's about emotional resilience and the courage to stay true to yourself, even when the situation seems like it's about to fall apart. It's fascinating how most men react when they sense a woman pulling away. Panic sets in. They double text, apologize for things they didn't even do wrong, and start overcompensating. They do everything to regain control, but in doing so, they push her away even more. This is the exact opposite of what you want. Clinging to someone out of fear only makes you more desperate and less attractive. It screams insecurity, and believe me, women can hear that from a mile away. But when a man stands his ground, when he lets go without fear, something magical happens. The woman begins to feel the weight of losing him. That's when she starts to rethink her actions. She begins to see his strength, his emotional independence, and his value. That's when the tables turn, and she starts to respect him in ways she didn't before. Women never forget the men who were strong enough to walk away. Those are the men who stay in their minds. Why? Because they never got to see him desperate. They never saw him lower himself to hold on. And that's the lasting impression that sticks. Incorporating Stoic principles into relationships is the foundation of lasting power. The Stoics taught us to control what we can and let go of what we cannot. Emotional dependence is something you can choose not to engage with. You must live your life in accordance with your values, not in accordance with someone else's actions. If you want to be remembered, you must become the man who is unshaken, unbothered by the drama, and emotionally free. It's that emotional freedom and inner peace that make. Stick with me, because this is just the beginning. We're moving forward with even more powerful tactics to leave a lasting impact on their minds. Get ready for the next move, one that deepens their connection to you in ways they can't ignore. If you are ready, comment, let's go. Let's move forward. 3. He controls his emotions. Listen closely, because this is something you must internalize. Women never forget the man who controls his emotions. This isn't a suggestion. It's a fundamental truth that transcends time. The modern man, you must realize, has been misled to believe that expressing every emotion, reacting to every little change in the environment, or displaying vulnerability shows care. Wrong. It signals weakness. If you want to attract and keep a woman, you must master emotional control. When you fail to control your emotions, you become unpredictable, and unpredictability is unattractive. Women are wired for stability. They crave it. Think about it. When she's upset, when things get heated, when emotions are high, what does she need? She needs a man who remains grounded. That's what you must be. Stoicism, as Epictetus taught, is the path to true strength. It isn't about ignoring emotions, it's about controlling them. A man who remains steady, calm, and unshaken, regardless of the chaos around him, commands respect. Don't be mistaken. Emotional control doesn't mean being cold or detached. It means being a rock. Feel what you feel, but never let your feelings dictate your actions. This is the essence of Stoicism. This is how you win. Modern relationships test this principle daily. The more emotional you react, the more distant she becomes. She doesn't need you to panic when she's distant. She doesn't want you to overreact when she gets upset. When she tests you, she's looking for your reaction. If you panic, react defensively, beg for attention, or accuse her of things, you fail. These emotional outbursts don't draw her in, they push her away. They scream insecurity, weakness. Instead, stay composed, stay unshaken. The calm man, the man who refuses to be swayed by her mood or behavior, becomes magnetic. This is your moment to show strength. As Epictetus would say, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Master your reactions, and you master your life. Remember, women want a man who can steady the ship when the storm hits. The man who stands firm when everything else is falling apart becomes the emotional anchor. This is powerful. You will earn her respect, and respect is the foundation of lasting attraction. It's crucial to understand this. Women don't forget the man who made them feel emotionally secure, not because he gave into her every mood, but because he stayed strong, unflinching, while still being present. Emotional control, paired with unwavering strength, creates an indelible impression. It's the kind of man she will always remember, even if the relationship ends. This is what you must strive for. You must become this man. You must embody emotional strength. Epictetus and Stoicism win because they teach us how to rise above the trivial, to focus on what truly matters, our internal peace. You control your emotions, you control your fate, and in doing so, you control your relationships. Become the man who can withstand life's storms with grace and strength. Women will never forget the man who does this. You can be that man. 4. He never seeks her approval. In relationships, one of the most damaging traps a man can fall into is the constant pursuit of a woman's approval. It might feel harmless at first, but seeking validation from her can erode your self, respect, and diminish your attractiveness. Men often find themselves adjusting their words, actions, and even beliefs just to gain that approval, hoping that it will bring them closer to her. But what they fail to realize is that the more approval you seek, the less respect you earn. Women aren't drawn to men who are unsure of themselves or dependent on her validation. They are attracted to men who are confident in who they are, regardless of what anyone else thinks, including her. This is where the Old Stoic wisdom comes in. The Stoic principles teach the power of living with an iron mind, being steady, unwavering, and strong in your beliefs, free from the need for constant reassurance. Men who embody this mindset know that they don't need anyone's approval to feel good about themselves. Seeking approval is an unconscious way of giving someone else control over your worth. Every time you seek validation, you are silently telling her, "I'm not good enough unless you say so." This is a deeply unattractive quality. Women may not always be aware of it, but they are naturally drawn to men who can stand on their own 2 feet. A man who doesn't seek approval operates from a place of quiet confidence. He knows who he is, what he stands for, and what he wants. He doesn't feel the need to alter his behavior, opinions, or values to avoid conflict or to please anyone. He is authentic in every way, whether she likes it or not. That authenticity is magnetic because it speaks to an inner strength. Women don't want men who bend to every whim or demand. They want men who stand firm in their identity, guided by their own moral compass, not by external validation. Women test men constantly, sometimes without even realizing it. They might challenge your choices, tease you, or question your decisions, all in an attempt to see if you'll fold under pressure. Most men do. They start explaining themselves, justifying their actions, or altering their stance just to avoid an argument. But every time a man gives in to this pressure, he loses a little more of her respect. She notices when you start shifting to make her happy, when you start doubting yourself or bending your principles to avoid conflict. That's where the Stoic principles shine through. The man who doesn't seek approval remains grounded. He doesn't feel threatened by disagreement or feel the need to explain every move he makes. He allows her to disagree without feeling like his worth is at stake. This sense of calm confidence, unshaken by the storms of external opinions, tells her everything she needs to know, that he is not dependent on her approval to feel good about himself. This is an iron mind in action, one that remains steady and unruffled in the face of uncertainty. The paradox is that when you stop seeking approval, you actually become more attractive. The woman starts to respect you more, and as a result, she becomes more invested. She's no longer in control, and that shift is magnetic. She wants to know you more, to impress you, to prove that she's worthy of your attention. Women are naturally drawn to men who lead, not men who are easily swayed or controlled. The key here is understanding that constant agreement, trying to please her at every turn, or sacrificing your needs and beliefs for hers will only make you more predictable, more boring, and worst of all, more controllable. You can never be the man she respects if you let her dictate your thoughts and actions. The men women never forget are the ones who stood firm in who they were. They didn't try to be someone else to gain approval. They didn't need constant praise or reassurance to feel validated. These are the men who lived by their own code, who acted with purpose and authenticity. They didn't chase her approval. They simply existed as they were, confidently. And that confidence, rooted in Old Stoic wisdom and the principles that guide a man to live by his values and principles, is unforgettable. It makes a lasting impression because it demonstrates strength. It shows that they are not afraid to stand alone in their beliefs, no matter what. They don't seek validation, they are the validation. When you carry yourself with this kind of confidence, rooted in your own identity, you shift the dynamic of the relationship. Instead of you chasing after her approval, she will begin to chase after yours. She'll be more intrigued, more invested, and more eager to impress you because you're not someone she can manipulate or control with your need for validation. The irony is that when you stop trying to prove yourself, you actually prove your worth in the most profound way. You show that you are a man of integrity, a man with an iron mind who remains true to himself in the face of anything life throws at him. Living by Stoic principles means embracing your authentic self, regardless of external pressures. It's about remaining true to your values, even when the world around you is trying to convince you to compromise. When you adopt this mindset, you give off a magnetic energy, one that commands respect and admiration. Women will never forget the men who stand firm in their truth, who don't need approval to feel whole, and who live their lives by their own code. These men are unforgettable because their strength comes from within, and that is something no woman can ever forget. So, stop seeking her approval and start seeking your own. Stand firm in who you are, and let your actions speak louder than any validation you could ever receive from anyone else. And if you agree with this, drop a comment right now. I am the man who holds the power. Like this video, subscribe for more unshakable wisdom, and remind yourself daily, silence isn't distance, it's discipline. 5. He makes her earn his attention. Attention. It's something every woman craves, but let's be honest, it's also one of the most valuable things a man can give. Yet, too many men hand it out like it's free candy at a parade. When they meet a woman they like, they flood her with compliments, endless texts, favours, and more of their time than they should. They believe that by showering her with attention, they'll win her heart. But here's the problem. When attention is given too easily, it loses its value. Let's break it down. Attention is power. Think about it. The more easily it comes, the less a woman values it. Women aren't drawn to men who hand over their focus like it's a dime at a gas station. They're drawn to men who make them earn it. When attention has to be earned, it becomes a rare commodity, a precious one that ignites curiosity, intrigue, and desire. Women start wondering, what do I have to do to get more of his time, his focus, his energy? And this isn't about playing games or being manipulative. Let's make that clear. A man who makes a woman earn his attention isn't trying to toy with her emotions. Instead, he understands the Stoic principles of self, worth, and discipline. He values his time, energy, and peace. He knows that not every woman deserves unlimited access to him. His attention is a privilege, not a right. This doesn't mean ignoring her or acting disinterested, but instead, being selective with your time, particularly in the early stages. You are not available 24/7. You don't drop everything when she calls or texts. You have your own life, your own goals, and your own mission. She has to fit into that. You do not adjust your entire existence just for her. Imagine this. A man who's serious about his career, hits the gym regularly, spends time with friends, and pursues his goals. He meets a woman who piques his interest. He doesn't abandon his routine to be around her constantly. He stays committed to his path. He makes time for her when it fits into his life, but his focus remains unshakable. Over time, she notices something. He doesn't revolve his world around her. That's the thing that gets her attention even more. It's this very absence, this slight distance, that makes her work harder for his focus, and in turn, makes her more invested. This is human psychology in action. We value what we have to earn. On the other hand, the man who gives unlimited attention from the start often gets taken for granted. His presence becomes too predictable, too easy. But the man who withholds his attention just enough, who remains slightly out of reach, triggers that natural urge to chase. That's the man who stays in her mind long after the interaction is over. The truth is, women never forget the man who didn't throw himself at them. The man who made them prove their worth. It's rare. That's what makes him unforgettable. It's the Stoic approach. Stand apart, and you will stay in her mind. The old Stoic rules of discipline and self-control teach us to never give away our power freely. When a woman has to earn your attention, she respects it. When it's just handed to her, it's easily discarded. Remember this. Attention is a privilege, not a right. And when you make a woman work for it, you've just placed yourself in the unforgettable category. This doesn't just apply to women, but to anyone you wish to influence. Value yourself, and others will value you. It's a lesson that not only applies to relationships, but to every aspect of life, driven by the timeless wisdom of the Stoics. So, don't give your attention away so easily. Make her earn it. Stay focused on your own mission and show her that your time is precious. In doing so, you'll make sure that you're the one she remembers. Forever? 6. He maintains mystery. Mastering attraction with women is not about constant oversharing. It's about maintaining an air of mystery. Women are naturally drawn to men they can't fully understand. And this is not by chance. Stoic wisdom, such as the teachings of Epictetus, reminds us that mystery is not deception, but a powerful tool to engage curiosity, and build deeper emotional connections. Let's be clear. The more you reveal too soon, the less interest you'll create. Too much transparency too quickly robs her of the mystery she craves. You must leave something to the imagination, something that makes her wonder, think, and feel the pull to figure you out. Remember, mystery is the space where attraction thrives, and if you give away everything too quickly, you drain that space. It's not about hiding essential truths, it's about pacing your emotional exposure. You have to hold back just enough, allowing her mind to fill the gaps, to ponder your depths. This is where the tension lies. Tension is what keeps a woman's interest high, keeping her mind engaged and focused on you. So don't rush to explain every little thing or detail of your day. Let your life unfold in pieces. The less she knows, the more she wonders, and the more she wonders, the more she feels the need to stay connected. That's how attraction grows, how it deepens, and how it lasts. Epictetus teaches us the importance of self-control and emotional discipline, and you can apply this principle to your interactions with women. Don't give in to the pressure to open up too quickly, to reveal every insecurity or past relationship. This is where many men fail, thinking that being completely transparent will bring them closer. The truth is that oversharing kills the spark. Overexposure turns you from a mystery into an open book. And once the book is fully read, there's no reason for her to keep turning the pages. Remember, your unpredictability is a part of your allure. The more she can't predict your every move, the more she wants to be around you. Don't be emotionally distant, but don't be a predictable open book either. Keep her on her toes by maintaining an element of mystery in your actions, in your responses. That's the art of attraction. The men who women never forget are not the ones who overshare or reveal all their emotional scars. No, the unforgettable men are those who keep a bit of mystery alive, those who leave her wondering, what's beneath the surface? These are the men who keep the emotional connection charged with excitement. Think of this as your emotional strategy. Think of it as how you stay memorable. A sense of mystery adds depth to your persona, and depth is what makes you irresistible. Your quiet strength, your unpredictability, your ability to hold back just enough make you a man who stays in her mind long after the relationship ends. So don't give in to the urge to overexpose yourself. Follow the principles of Epictetus. Practice self-control and let the mystery remain. Don't allow her to completely figure you out. Let her experience you slowly, in pieces. This is how you master attraction. This is how you win. Keep her engaged. Keep her coming back for more. You will become a man she can never forget. A man of depth, intrigue, and mystery. Stoicism wins, and you win. If you find today's content useful to you, don't forget to share your feelings and lessons with us. Or simply comment, "Very cool." It's a great encouragement for our channel makers. Thank you very much. 7. He puts his mission first. Many men today have lost touch with one of the most powerful lessons passed down from Old Stoic wisdom: to never let your purpose and mission take a back seat for anyone. Far too often, they've made the mistake of centering their lives around a woman, thinking that constant devotion, endless attention, and sacrificing personal goals will keep her interested. But that's not how attraction works. The truth is harsh, but necessary. Women are not attracted to men who make them their everything. They want a partner, not a dependent. When you place her at the center of your world, you create an unhealthy dynamic, one where she begins to feel more like a mother than a partner. You may wonder why she loses interest, pulls away, and eventually leaves. It's simple. Dependence equals weakness, and that's a turn off. You must learn to prioritize your mission first. Your career, personal growth, and ambitions are the very things that fuel your identity and strength. This is where your discipline, your iron mind, and your stoic principles come into play. A man who has a mission is a man who commands respect. When you're busy building, growing, and pursuing a life full of purpose, your time becomes valuable. It shows you have direction, you know who you are, and you're not swayed by fleeting emotions. This is what women are naturally drawn to, a man who stands firm in his purpose. It's not selfish to put your mission first. It's a fundamental part of being a man. The key lies in finding the balance. Be passionate about your goals, but never lose sight of the relationship. A woman wants to feel like a partner in a journey, not the sole reason for it. When you become a man of purpose, you stop seeking approval or validation. Your mission speaks louder than any romantic gesture. The right woman will admire your focus, your drive, and your independence. She will respect you because you respect yourself enough to never abandon your path, regardless of the relationship. Most men, however, are still trapped in the myth that constant availability equals love. We've all been sold the idea that women crave attention and will fall for the man who is always there, always giving. But reality doesn't work that way. You've probably found yourself stuck in this loop, giving endlessly, sacrificing your time, energy, and even your identity in the hopes of gaining her love. But has it made her love you more? No, it has only drained you and left you feeling confused, frustrated, and far removed from your true self. When you stop living for her approval, when you start living for your own mission, things change. A woman who respects you will never leave just because you're building something. In fact, she'll admire your focus. She'll respect the fact that you're not distracted by everything else around you. This is what makes you unforgettable, the ability to stay grounded in your mission while embracing love as part of an already meaningful life. The men women never forget are the ones who had the strength to walk away when needed, who didn't beg for attention, but rather stood tall with their iron mind, always committed to their mission, not to any one woman. At the end of the day, most men lose not because they weren't good enough, but because they tried too hard to become everything the woman wanted. In the process, they lost sight of what she truly desired, a man who doesn't need her to feel whole. The moment a woman feels that you need her more than she needs you, you've already lost her respect. Neediness kills attraction. It's the men who stand on their own 2 feet, who stay mysterious, disciplined, and true to their mission that women will remember. Many men have fallen into these traps. I know I have too. But the first step to change is awareness. Acknowledge the mistakes, learn from them, and move forward with a clear mission. And if you're finding this valuable, don't forget to share it with another man who needs to hear this. Together we can grow, learn, and make sure the next generation of men understands the true power of a Stoic mindset, one that prioritizes mission over dependency and attracts respect rather than neediness. 8. He remains independent and self-sufficient. Let's start with a simple fact. Independence is irresistibly attractive, but we're not talking about superficial independence, like the size of your paycheck or whether you have your own car. We're diving deeper. Emotional and mental independence are the bedrock of a strong, appealing man. A man who stands on his own 2 feet, who doesn't lean on others for validation or support, is someone who commands respect. Don't rely on others. Be the man who takes ownership of his life, emotions, and decisions. That is the essence of being a man who is truly self-sufficient. Imagine this. You are going through life, handling your challenges, confronting your own demons, and making decisions with confidence. In this way, you channel the very principles of the Old Stoic philosophers, embracing hardship, mastering your emotions, and being the architect of your own destiny. This isn't about isolation, it's about being secure in your own self-worth, whether you're alone or surrounded by others. A man who's mentally and emotionally independent doesn't need constant approval. He doesn't need to check in with friends, family, or a partner to validate his choices. That is the power of true independence, and it's magnetic. When you are emotionally independent, you don't lean on your partner to solve your problems. You don't let external forces dictate your happiness. Instead, you handle your struggles quietly, calmly, and with resolve. Women are naturally drawn to men who exude this sense of autonomy. You create an aura of strength and security when you show you are comfortable being who you are, without depending on others to define your worth. Be self-sufficient in mind, body, and spirit. When a man can face his fears, shoulder his burdens, and make decisions without the constant need for someone else's input, he becomes a powerful force. This is the very core of Stoic principles, to not be shaken by external circumstances, but to remain steadfast, grounded, and clear-headed in the face of life's challenges. Women respect a man who doesn't crumble under pressure or rely on others to solve his problems. Don't be needy. Women can sense neediness from a mile away, and it's a major turn-off. A man who constantly seeks validation or relies on others to fill his emotional needs signals that he's not self-sufficient. This is not attractive, and it's not what women remember. That's why independence is key. When you hold your ground, keep your own passions and interests, and stand tall in your decisions, you don't come off as desperate or clingy. You become someone worthy of admiration. A true Stoic man stands alone, but isn't lonely. He knows that his worth comes from within, and that it's not dictated by anyone else's actions or opinions. A woman sees that strength, and it leaves an indelible mark on her heart. This is the kind of man women never forget. When you maintain your independence, you also avoid the dangerous trap of becoming overly reliant on any one person, whether that's a partner, friends, or even family. You must understand this. The more you rely on others, the less attractive you become. Women want a man who can handle his own life, not someone who needs constant care or attention. So, be the man who owns his emotions, takes responsibility for his life, and refuses to be defined by anyone else. This is what the old Stoics taught us. True freedom and strength come from within, and a man who understands this principle is the one who will always be remembered. When a man exhibits this kind of independence, he becomes more than just someone to admire. He becomes a partner, someone who can give just as much as he takes. Women crave men who live with purpose, passion, and autonomy. That's the kind of man who captures a woman's heart and never lets go. In conclusion, be the man who stands on his own 2 feet, emotionally and mentally self-sufficient. Follow the ancient Stoic principles of strength, wisdom, and self-reliance. It's not about closing others out, but about being secure in who you are. A man who knows this truth and lives by it will never be forgotten. Women remember the man who can stand alone, and they respect him for it. If this message spoke to your heart today, leave a comment about faith. I am a high-value man. 9. He treats others with respect and kindness. The power of respect and kindness cannot be overstated, especially in the eyes of women. Women remember the men who treat others with genuine respect. A man who is courteous to waitstaff, kind to strangers, or demonstrates loyalty and integrity to his friends is a man who understands the real value of character. This kind of behaviour speaks louder than any polished charm. Women notice, and they take mental notes. It's not about being weak or overly agreeable. It's about strength, inner confidence, and self-respect. As Epictetus, a great Stoic philosopher, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. How you treat others, especially those who can offer nothing in return, is a reflection of your true character. The respect you show to others reveals your level of self-discipline and emotional intelligence, qualities that are universally respected. Women, regardless of their age, are instinctively drawn to men who show this level of maturity. It's not about seeking approval or trying to win favour. It's about operating with integrity in every moment of life. Arrogance, dismissiveness, or the inability to treat others with kindness may fool some, but it won't fool those who are paying attention. It won't fool a woman who values true character. When a man is respectful to all, his masculinity is reinforced, not diluted. He stands out not for his ability to dominate, but for his capacity to make others feel seen, heard, and respected. In this light, Stoicism teaches us that strength is not in cruelty or arrogance. As another Stoic philosopher, Marcus Aurelius, wisely said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." You must remember this. To truly win in life, you must consistently show respect to others, because women never forget men who carry themselves with the grace and dignity of a true gentleman. To put it simply, respect others, and you will earn respect both in their eyes and in the eyes of the world. It's not just about who you are in private, it's about who you are when no one is looking. This, my friend, is how you will win. Women don't just remember grand gestures, they remember the subtle ways you make everyone feel valued. So take this lesson seriously. Treat others with kindness and watch how it elevates your life, just as Epictetus and Stoicism win the respect of those who understand true greatness. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with friends, and subscribe to the channel for more insightful content like this. Your support means a lot. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you want to share feedback or discuss anything from this video, drop your comments below. I read all of them and look forward to hearing what you think. Remember, the wisdom shared today can truly make a difference. Stay connected, keep learning, and let's continue growing together. Take care and see you in the next video.